KLK 102.5 FM. Good afternoon to you. This is Council Conversations and Outreach of the City of Jonesboro and KLK 102.5 FM, where we speak to members of the Jonesboro City Council to just get their thoughts on some of the issues out there that are affecting the citizens of Jonesboro. Today, this interview will air on Jonesboro Channel 24. And today in the studio, we have Mr. Bobby Long, who is actually the newest member of the Jonesboro City Council. So how are you doing today, Mr. Long?
Doing good.
All right, Mr. Long, just tell us about yourself, what ward you represent, and how long you've lived in Jonesboro, and what do you do when you're not being an alderman?
Okay, my name is Bobby Long. I live at 4121 Oak Hill Lane in Jonesboro. My wife and I have been married 27 years. We've got twin 16-year-old boys. I've lived in Jonesboro, most of my life. I grew up in Leachville, Arkansas, attended ASU. And my wife also grew up in Valley View and attended ASU. That's where we met in philosophy class.
I bet that was interesting.
That was real interesting. But it was interesting. And I also played in a band in college. We played a lot of pavilion dances and things like that. And she was in philosophy class, and I asked her if she wanted to come to one of our little gigs there, and she did, and we've been together ever since.
Oh, well, that certainly sounds like a very romantic love story. It's band and philosophy. That's a combination right there.
It was the 80s.
Hey, well, that was a great time to be alive. That's when I was a kid then, but that's when I was growing up. Okay, so Mr. Long, you say you represent Ward 6, Position 1.
Yes.
When and why did you first decide to run for the Jonesboro City Council? I remember the race itself because I interviewed you before on KLEK along with several other candidates that vied for the position, and it originally started out with 5 candidates, I believe, and it was narrowed down to 2 candidates, and at the end you were the last one standing. So just once again, when and why did you decide to run for the council? It's not the highest paying job in the world, and a lot of grief can come from it. Of course, you experienced some grief on the campaign trail, and you've even experienced a little bit of grief over a recent voting decision that you just made.
Well, first of all, when you do something like this, it's got to be something that you're called to do. I can't really tell you exactly when I decided to run for city council. I knew several years ago I wanted to make an impact in our city and wanted to do something, but the opportunity never arose for me to, put my name in the hat. And when Alderman Tim McCall, his seat was vacant, which happens to be Ward 6, Position 1. I felt that as an opportunity, for me to jump in the race, and I was the first one to file. And of course, like you mentioned, it was a long process. And the reason that I want to do that is because my kids grow up here. They love the city of Jonesboro. We love the city of Jonesboro, and this is where we're raising our families, where my family's from. And I just want to make sure that I have a part, in making Jonesboro all that it can be.
All right, and we certainly think that you, along with the other city councilmen, will do their best to make sure that happens. Now, Mr. Long, what accomplishments have the city made in recent years that you are most proud of? I know you haven't been on the council very long, but just from what you have seen as the city of Jonesboro progresses, what would you say that you're most proud of?
Well, just the fact that Jonesboro seems to be, just this jewel in Northeast Arkansas where people tend to gravitate to. I'm extremely proud of, the progress that we've made as far as our downtown revitalization. I think that is awesome. Our industry, how industries just tends to want to come here because we do have a good base. Jonesboro is really unique. If you look at the seal, we have education, agriculture, industry, and medicine. And we're just not a one-horse town. We do all 4 of those things extremely well. And when you have, the education base that we have here, Jonesboro High School puts out some great, great students. My kids are 2 of them. And I'm looking forward to them graduating in a couple of years. But then we've got ASU. We have ASUN, ASU Newport. Black River is just right down the road here from us. So we have a great, great opportunity for industry, for talented individuals to come and work. Our agriculture has always been a foundation for our city. So has medicine. We've got some of the best medical facilities in the state right here in Jonesboro, and that's something to be extremely proud of. So I think when you see out in the rest of the country, you see, places that may have had only one industry that was the cornerstone, and if their industry or their city rose and fell based on the success of that industry. But here it's not that way. We have such a diverse community that I think that works in our favor in attracting businesses, both big and small. Jonesboro is a great place to start a small business. It's also a great place for industry to come. I would like to see a little bit more home offices, move in here to where, it's factory work, agriculture, medicine, and education. But when we start attracting some of those home offices, then you'll start seeing customer service reps, you'll start seeing claims adjusters and things like that move in, that will, sort of equalize a little bit of the pay and a little bit of the white collar and blue collar workout.
Well, and I certainly agree with many of the things that you said, Mr. Long, as far as the 4 types of industries and coming here. And one thing on the health field is the NYIT that recently just opened up. That's going to be a big boom for the medical field. And like you said, it's a great place to attend school. I myself am a graduate of Arkansas State University, and you said to start a business, even though this is a nonprofit, but it's still a great place for opportunities to start new things, such as when I started KLEK. So, Mr. Long, let's kind of flip it up just a little bit. Now, what are some of your concerns facing Jonesboro? We talked about some of the positive, but what are some of the things that you're concerned about? Now, one of them I'm already familiar with because you talked about it a lot on the campaign trail, that you were concerned about the spending and the city staying on budget. So besides that, what are some of the other concerns that you have?
Well, I think a couple of them are still pertinent. One of them, is the police and city salaries, things like that. Another one is also the drainage. I know that we've had over the past week or so, it's just been raining constantly. However, the city has made strides, toward taking care of that issue. Now, the drainage issue, for instance, wasn't created overnight, and it's not going to be solved overnight. However, there are certain things that we have done and that we're going to do in the future that's going to alleviate that. I know we purchased, some very high dollar pieces of equipment that's going to help, keep the drainage ditches clean. And I think as time goes on, especially after this November, we're going to see, just what type of help we're going to get from the county in order that we can work together with them to take care of some of the drainage issues in drainage districts. And I spoke with Senator Cooper, who told me that there's some things done on the state level, that's going to help as well. By making sure that these drainage districts, the representation they meet on a regular basis, and there's a push for more accountability on that instance. So I think that's something that you're going to see major improvements on over the next several months. Salaries are also a big issue, and it was back in the summer, and it's still an ongoing issue. I think as it stands right now, a presentation or a proposal for restructuring of the police salaries have been presented, and it's been forwarded on to the Finance Committee. But also, I think what's going to happen in the future is that there's going to be a special called meeting of the entire city council, because we have got to get this right. And it's something that just a few doesn't need to be involved in. I think the entire council needs to be involved. I think the mayor has seen the value of that. And so I think over the course of the near future, we're going to see a special call meeting of the city council that we can address that issue. We can get some history on it, see and really dig into what's been proposed, and see if there's anything that we can do to make that better, so that it's not only a one-time fix, but it's something that's both sustainable and something that will allow us to retain and recruit good police officers.
And that's certainly something that's very important. The plan that recently was presented has a series of raises to kind of get officers paid back on somewhat of an equal footing, and then there's a series of steps that kick in after an officer serves the department for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Have you had a chance to study the proposal as presented? And if so, what are some of your thoughts about it? Do you think it's something that you could support as a member of the city council?
I've not really had a chance to delve into it like I want to. I'm looking forward to that special call meeting that I can really get into the nuts and bolts, sort of hear some of the people that have been involved in those discussions from the start, because there was a group of people that come up and developed all this. So I want to hear the background of it. I want to see where it come from, hear the ideas, but also that may spur some other ideas, that were not thought of that could be implemented that could help out in those areas. I'm a real value-based type of guy. I'm an HR director, been one for 14 years. So I really see the value in, I guess, rewarding people for what they bring to the table. And I want to make sure that we reward our police officers when they get new certifications, when they become more valuable to the police office, and in essence become more valuable to the city of Jonesboro and the residents that they protect.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're speaking with Councilman Bobby Long. He represents Ward 6, Position 1. This is Council Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. Mr. Long, what do you feel that Jonesboro needs to continue to grow? Jonesboro has been growing for at least as long as I've been here, since 1996, and obviously you go back way further than that. So what do you think the city needs to continue this rate of growth that we are experiencing?
Well, there's a multitude of things, that we need. First of all, it's almost impossible for Jonesboro to keep up with the roads and things like that with the growth that we're, seeing right now. I think we need to continue on focusing, doing the things that we do well right now, which is supporting, our medical community, supporting our educational community, making sure that our students are receiving the best education that they possibly can so that when they enter the workforce, they're prepared. I think it's also important for us to focus not only on big industry coming to town, but also make sure that the city is an incubator for small businesses. Small businesses like those that employ, single proprietorships up to 10 people. Those are going to be those places that are going to make Jonesboro unique. You drive downtown and you see Gearhead, and you see places like Skinny J's and things like that people love to visit and love to go and spend their money at. And that's what makes Jonesboro unique. You can always, I lived in Birmingham, Alabama for 4 years. And there are those places that you can go that are the chain restaurants. You can always find them. But you'd be hard pressed when you go to a place like Birmingham that you go downtown and you look for those 1 and 2 mom and pop places that have the best of the best that the city has to offer. And I think Jonesboro's getting there.
Yeah, because I know when I travel out of town, I always try to find restaurants that you can't find anywhere else to experience, that local flavor. So definitely agree with you on that. So, Mr. Long, where do you see the city of Jonesboro in 10 years?
Well, first of all, if you were to have asked me that question 10 years ago, the city looks totally different. Look down Red Wolf Boulevard. We have a new expansion to the football stadium. We have a new indoor practice facility. You go down Red Wolf Boulevard, and there are things there that was not there 10 years ago. Matter of fact, you're going around and you see Paragould. I think the city is going to continue to grow that way. I think you'll see, the Brooklyn area expand and continue to develop. I think that you'll see things out on the west side develop more.
Over there by where they're extending Parker Road?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that Joe Mack Campbell Park, it won't look the same in 10 years. And hopefully, what we'll continue to do is to accommodate the growth, both in making sure that our city has jobs that, make not only a livable wage, but a good wage. And I'd like to see that expand and make sure that we take care of our citizens, but also make sure that we take care of those, fundamental things that government must do. Public safety, is number one. We've got to make sure that we do not fall short in that area, because if the public does not feel safe, people will not move to Jonesboro. They just will not move. If we don't have a good system of where people can get to and from the places that they want to go. So we've got to focus on making sure that our roads are adequate and making sure that our transportation flows well. And then we've got to provide, making sure that the housing that we have is ready for those people that are coming in. And I think we've got the builders and the agents and the land to do it. We annexed, what was it? Just several acres not long ago. But man, Jonesboro is like the second largest land mass city in Arkansas, but we're fifth in population. So we have some room to expand, and I think we needed it. I don't know if we needed that much of it, but we needed it. And I think as the city of Jonesboro grows, we're going to do our best to make sure that those fundamental things are met first. Then we look at quality of life issues and things like that. But there's absolutely no way that I could look at quality of life issues, when we have fundamental issues that we need to take care of first: roads, public safety, things like that.
Yes, sir. We're speaking with Mr. Bobby Long, who is the councilman for Ward 6, Position 1. He is the newest member of the Jonesboro City Council, and he is already making an impact in the city. And one of the ways in which he is making an impact is he recently organized a prayer service for first responders and just others that need prayer. So, Mr. Long, just kind of tell the listeners about how you got the idea for that, how it came together, and how the event went, and the feedback that you got off of it.
Oh, the feedback has been great. It's no surprise, or it doesn't come as a surprise to anybody. Our city, our country, our state, has sort of been plagued with a lot of just adversity and just a lot of things that make people just clash. And I'm a conservative. But first of all, I'm a Christian, and as part of that, Christians, when they see things that need to be changed, they pray. And so that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I decided we needed to do. And it wasn't just myself. There was many, many people that were involved in making that happen. The mayor was instrumental in making that happen. Some of the city council members were instrumental in making that happen. And when I reached out to a lot of the different people all over this community, the one thing that I got was, this is something that we need, and I want to help you any way I possibly can. And it's that type of attitude that kept me going and kept me pushing forward to that thing. What it was is we sent out a letter, to the first responder, the fire department, police officers, teachers, city council, state officials, healthcare workers, multitude of different military and things and people like that, and said, we just want you to give us the opportunity to first of all acknowledge you, and then pray for you as a group. Pray for your safety, pray for wisdom, pray for understanding, pray for a sound mind, pray for protection. And they were just overwhelmed. And they provided me with a lot of pictures, and I had a friend of mine put together a really nice video at the front of it. And they just came together, and it was so awesome to see the fire trucks pulling into our church parking lot at the Rock down on Johnson, and see the firemen and the police officers, the teachers, the military personnel, all stand up, and pastors and people from all walks of life, from all denominations, standing up and praying for those people. So it was just an awesome thing. And I'm looking forward to doing it next year. I don't know when it's going to be, but I know that we will do it next year, and hopefully it will be bigger. We had a couple of hundred people there, and it was just a great night. I enjoyed it, and I want to thank anybody, and everybody that had a part in that.
And that is certainly great, and we definitely look forward to that as well. And of course, once Mr. Long organizes the next one, we at KLEK will be sure to pass the information along. Okay, well, Mr. Long, I've got two more questions for you. My next to last question is, we have a mayoral election coming up this fall, and we have 5 candidates as of this show that are running. Of course, there might be potential for more. So, there is the possibility that there could be a new mayor that could have a totally different direction, or that the current mayor may be reelected. So are you prepared, either way? What are your kind of thoughts on this upcoming mayoral election? Not asking you who you support, but just, on the whole process of the election and the fact that there could be possibly a new mayor in town this time next year.
Right. That's going to be That's going to be a situation that everyone lives with. We not only have a new mayor, but we have several city council members that are up for re-election this coming November as well. One thing that I know that will be steady throughout the entire process, whether it's this fall in November, no matter what happens in November, I know that on January 1, I know who I am, I know the character that I have, I know the values that I represent. So no matter who's mayor, I'm still going to continue to bring that character, that integrity, and those values, and those conservative trains of thought, to the city council. And I look forward to working with, whether it, remain to be Mayor Perrin or whoever it is. And there's one thing else that I've learned over the past, I guess, since I started running for this council race and finally won. It's that the citizens of Jonesboro make well-informed and good decisions. And if someone comes along, that they feel, represents their values and has the character and integrity that they would like to see, then they're going to vote for that person. And I'm going to trust the city and the citizens of Jonesboro to make that decision in the fall, and we will work hand in hand and just as hard as we do. If it does change out, if it continues to be Mayor Perrin, we're going to continue to work with him just like we have in the past. If it's someone new, we're going to welcome them and help them do the same, because in the end, we all have the same focus, and the same focus is the welfare and progress of Jonesboro, Arkansas. And as long as mayor has those views and values in mind, I think we can work with anybody.
Yes, sir. Once again, we are speaking with Mr. Bobby Long, Ward 6, Position 1 of the Jonesboro City Council. All right, Mr. Long, as we get ready to go to a close, is there anything else that you just want to tell the listeners and the viewers that we did not cover?
I just want to continue to, I guess, encourage your listeners and anyone out there to get involved. Get involved with your city government. Get involved with your city. Get involved in the places that you live. Volunteer where you see a need. Volunteer. Don't wait for someone else to do it. If that's one thing that I've learned, is that we all have strengths and we all have talents that we can bring to the table. And when people and citizens do not get involved in their local governments, with their local communities, and things where they see a need and they do not get involved, and that's a talent and that's a person that cannot be utilized for the good of others. And so I just want to encourage everyone, get involved, stay informed, get involved, and go and do something, that maybe you'll never be repaid for, but that's okay. Go ahead and do it because you see it needs to be done, and you have talents and you have giftings that you can bring to the table.
Yes, sir. Mr. Long, I want to certainly thank you for your time. You're certainly welcome to come back anytime. This is Council Conversations, and this is KLEK 102.5 FM.